I watched my daughter Sarah dance at her wedding reception, radiant in her white dress, completely unaware that in less than 12 hours, her new husband's family would report her missing and block me from the investigation. But when a hotel clerk pulled me aside 3 days later and whispered, "Mr. Patterson, I need to show you something about your daughter's room," what I discovered on those security tapes made me realize this wasn't a disappearance. It was an execution, and the people celebrating her wedding were the ones who planned it. I need you to stay with me on this. Comment below where you're watching from and what time is it there, because what that hotel clerk showed me would lead to the biggest fraud case in Portland's history and save my daughter's life. Saturday, November 4th. The Sentinel Hotel ballroom glowed with candlelight and promises. My daughter Sarah, 28 years old and brilliant beyond measure, had just married Marcus Whitmore in front of 200 guests. I'd spent 30 years as a fraud investigator for the Oregon Attorney General's office, but standing there watching her first dance, all I was a father trying not to cry. She looks happy, doesn't she? My ex-wife Linda stood beside me, mascara already running. We'd divorced 15 years ago, but moments like this brought us back to being parents together. She does, I agreed. Marcus seems like a good man. Marcus Whitmore, 32, investment banker, came from Portland old money. The Whitmores own half of downtown, hotels, office buildings, the kind of wealth that whispered instead of shouted. His mother, Catherine Whitmore, had planned this wedding with military precision. Every detail perfect, every guest carefully selected. James. Catherine appeared beside me, champagne glass in hand, diamonds catching the light. Such a beautiful ceremony. Sarah is a wonderful addition to our family. Something in the way she said addition made my investigator instincts twitch. Like Sarah was being added to inventory rather than welcomed as a daughter. We're very happy, I replied carefully. Marcus has such plans for their future, Catherine continued, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. A honeymoon in the Maldives. Then Sarah will be transitioning from her little non-profit job to help manage family affairs. So much more appropriate. Her little non-profit job. Sarah ran a legal aid clinic serving immigrant communities. She graduated top of her class from Lewis and Clark Law School, turned down six-figure corporate offers to do work that mattered. It wasn't little to anyone except people who measured worth in profit margins. Sarah loves her work, Linda said, steel in her voice. She won't be giving that up. Catherine's smile tightened. Well, we'll see what Sarah decides once she understands family priorities. She drifted away, leaving a chill despite the warm ballroom. I don't like her, Linda whispered. Neither do I admitted. But Sarah's an adult. She chose this. The reception continued with practiced elegance. Marcus's father, Richard Whitmore, gave a toast about legacy and family bloodlines that made my skin crawl. His sister, Victoria Whitmore Chase, watched Sarah with calculating eyes throughout the evening, whispering to Catherine whenever Sarah wasn't looking. At 11:47 p.m., I hugged my daughter goodbye. She and Marcus were staying in the hotel's penthouse suite before their morning flight to the Maldives. I love you, Dad, she said, holding me tight. Thank you for everything. For raising me. For teaching me to be strong. For always believing in me. Always, baby girl. Always. I watched them disappear into the elevator, Marcus's hand on Sarah's waist, her head on his shoulder. The image of newlywed bliss. If I'd known that would be the last time I'd see my daughter conscious and free, I would never have let her go. Sunday, November 5th, 2:17 p.m. My phone shattered the quiet of my home office. Mr. Patterson. Marcus's voice, tight with panic. It's Sarah. She's gone. My blood went cold. What do you mean, gone? I woke up this morning around 11. She wasn't in the suite. Her purse is here, her phone, but she's not. I've searched everywhere. I don't know what to do. I was already grabbing my keys. Have you called the police? My mother thought we should call you first. Family matter, you know. Maybe she just went for a walk, got disoriented. Disoriented? My daughter who'd memoized the Portland street grid by age 10. I'm coming to the hotel. Don't touch anything in that room. The drive from my house in Laurelhurst to downtown took 11 minutes. I made it in 7. The Sentinel Hotel lobby was subdued Sunday elegance. Marcus met me at the elevators, looking genuinely distressed, pale, unshaven, still in the clothes he'd worn to the reception. "The penthouse is this way," he said. "My mother's up there now, helping search." The elevator ride felt eternal. When the doors opened, Catherine Whitmore stood in the suite's foyer, perfectly composed despite the supposed emergency. "James, how unfortunate that Sarah chose today to have some kind of episode." "Episode? Not missing. Not in danger. Episode. Where's her phone?" I asked Marcus. He pointed to the nightstand. iPhone 14, fully charged, 7 missed calls from Linda. And her purse. Bathroom counter. I walked through the suite, every investigator instinct firing. The bed was made. Hotel housekeeping had already been through. The bathroom showed signs of morning routine. Damp towel, toothbrush used. Her wedding dress hung carefully in the closet. "What time did housekeeping come through?" I asked. Marcus looked confused. I don't know. I was asleep." "You didn't hear them come in? Make the bed. Clean the bathroom." I was really tired from the wedding. I slept hard. Something was wrong. Hotel housekeeping doesn't come into occupied rooms and make beds without waking guests. Standard procedure is to wait until checkout or explicit permission. "Catherine," I said carefully, "when did you arrive?" "About 1:30. Marcus called me in a panic. I came immediately. And you called me at 2:17. That's 47 minutes of searching before involving Sarah's father." Her expression hardened. "I thought we might resolve this quietly. Sarah has been under tremendous stress with the wedding. Perhaps she needed space. Her phone is here. Her purse. Her ID, credit cards, everything. What woman goes for a walk without her phone?" "James, you're being dramatic. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation." That's when Victoria walked in. Carrying coffee like this was a casual Sunday visit. "Any word from our runaway bride?" She actually smirked. "Call the police," I said to Marcus. "Now." Catherine stepped forward. "Let's not be hasty. The media would have a field day. Think about Sarah's reputation." "I'm thinking about Sarah's safety. Calling the police makes this public. Is that really what you want? For everyone to know Sarah disappeared on her wedding night? The speculation, the gossip." I stared at her. She wasn't worried about Sarah. She was worried about scandal. "Marcus," I said, pulling out my phone. "Either you call or I do." He looked to his mother, then back to me. "Maybe we should wait a few more hours. Give her time to come back on her own. Your wife is missing. She's probably just overwhelmed." Mom's right. Calling police makes it bigger than it is. I dialed 911 myself. Catherine's face went rigid with fury. The Portland police arrived within 20 minutes. 2 officers took statements while I walked them through the suite, pointing out the inconsistencies. Made bed, used bathroom, missing person who left every form of identification behind. "We'll file a missing persons report," Officer Martinez said. "But honestly, Mr. Patterson, most adults who disappear shortly after major life events show up within 48 hours. Usually just cold feet. She's been married less than 12 hours. Exactly. Wedding night is high stress. She might have needed air, time to think." Catherine nodded sympathetically. "Sarah has always been somewhat impulsive. I'm sure she'll turn up embarrassed about all this fuss." I wanted to scream. Instead, I pulled Officer Martinez aside. "I'm a fraud investigator. 28 years with the AG's office. Something is wrong here. The family's behavior, the timeline, none of it adds up. I understand you're worried, but we have protocols. Missing adult, no signs of struggle, personal belongings left behind. That's usually voluntary departure. We'll put out a bolo, check hospitals, but right now there's no evidence of foul play." By 6 p.m., the police had left. I sat in the hotel lobby, going through my phone, calling Sarah's friends, her co-workers, anyone who might have heard from her. Nothing. Linda arrived at 6:30, face streaked with tears. "Where is she, James? Where's our baby?" "I don't know, but something's wrong with the Whitmores. The way they are acting." "They called me," Linda interrupted. Catherine. She said we shouldn't panic, that Sarah probably just needed space. She kept emphasizing how embarrassing this would be for Sarah when she comes back. They're more worried about reputation than finding her. We sat together in the lobby until midnight, waiting for news that never came. What we didn't know was that 3 floors above us, Sarah was already drugged and unconscious, and the Whitmore's plan was just beginning. Monday, November 6th. I barely slept. By 7 a.m., I was back at the Sentinel, demanding to speak with hotel management. The manager, Gerald Sutton, met me in his office. "Mr. Patterson, I understand your distress. We're cooperating fully with police. I want to see security footage. All cameras covering the penthouse floor, elevators, exits. I'm afraid that requires a warrant. Hotel policy protects guest privacy. My daughter is missing from your hotel, and we provided all footage to the police. I can't show you without proper authorization." I left his office furious. 30 years investigating fraud, and I couldn't even access footage of my own daughter's disappearance because of privacy policy. Tuesday, November 7th. The police found nothing. No sightings, no credit card activity, no hospital admissions. Sarah had vanished like smoke. The Whitmores held a press conference. Catherine, Richard, Marcus, and Victoria stood on the steps of their corporate headquarters, faces somber. "Our family is devastated by Sarah's disappearance," Catherine read from a prepared statement. "We believe she may have experienced a psychological episode related to wedding stress. We're asking anyone with information to come forward. We love Sarah and just want her home safely." Psychological episode. They were building a narrative: unstable bride, pre-wedding breakdown, voluntary disappearance. Linda and I held our own press conference that afternoon. Sarah is a brilliant, stable woman who loves her work and her life. She didn't run away. We believe something happened to her, and we're begging anyone with information to contact police immediately. The media ate it up. Dueling press conferences, wealthy family versus concerned parents. Mystery bride. It was cable news gold. Wednesday, November 8th. 3 days since Sarah disappeared. I returned to the Sentinel. Not to the manager's office, but to the lobby bar. I ordered coffee and watched the staff, looking for anyone who might talk. That's when I saw her, a young woman in hotel uniform, early 20s, dark hair pulled back, name tag reading Maria Santos, front desk. She kept glancing at me, then looking away, nervous. I approached carefully. "Excuse me, Maria." She jumped. "Yes, sir. I'm James Patterson, Sarah Whitmore's father. I know who you are." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Mr. Patterson, I need to talk to you. But not here." My heart rate spiked. "Where?" "The parking garage. Level 3. 20 minutes. Come alone." She walked away quickly, leaving me standing there with 1,000 questions. 20 minutes later, I stood in the concrete dimness of parking level 3. A car door opened behind me. "Mr. Patterson." Maria stepped out, looking terrified. I could lose my job for this, but I can't stay quiet anymore. "What do you know about Sarah?" Sunday morning. I was working the front desk. Around 3 a.m., there was activity on the penthouse floor. Service elevator. "What kind of activity?" 3 people came down. 2 men I'd never seen before and Mrs. Catherine Whitmore. My blood went cold. Catherine was there at 3 a.m. Yes, they had a large rolling case, like a wardrobe trunk, so they were moving wedding gifts to storage. "But Mr. Patterson." Her voice shook. The case was heavy, really heavy, the way they were handling it, being so careful. "You think Sarah was in that case?" She nodded, tears streaming. "I've been working here 2 years. You learn to notice things. The way Mrs. Whitmore looked, not worried, not panicked, satisfied, and she paid cash for those 2 men to help. $3,000. I processed the payment from petty cash." "Did you tell the police?" "I tried. They said I was speculating, that without proof, it was just a theory. But Mr. Patterson, I pulled the security footage myself before it could be erased. I have it on a USB drive." She handed me a small drive, her hand shaking. "Why risk this for someone you don't know?" I asked. Because nobody should disappear and have people say she ran away. Your daughter didn't leave that hotel on her own. She was taken, and the Whitmores know exactly where she is. I drove straight to my office. Not the official one at the AG building, but the small private investigation firm I'd started after retirement consulting. I locked the door and inserted Maria's USB drive. The footage was damning. 2:47 a.m. Catherine Whitmore exits the penthouse elevator on the lobby level. She's on her phone, speaking to someone, calm and composed. 2:53 a.m. Two men in dark clothing enter through the service entrance. They meet Catherine in a service hallway. She hands them something, looks like a keycard. 3:01 a.m. The men take the service elevator to the penthouse floor. 3:17 a.m. The service elevator descends. The two men are now pushing a large rolling wardrobe trunk, the kind used for transporting formal wear. Catherine walks beside them, her hand on top of the trunk. Possessive, protective. 3:19 a.m. They exit through the service entrance. Loading dock cameras show them placing the trunk in a black Mercedes van. The van drives away. No license plate visible, deliberately obscured with mud. 3:23 a.m. Catherine returns to the lobby, goes to the front desk, speaks briefly with Maria. The timestamp matches when Maria said she processed the cash payment. 3:31 a.m. Catherine takes the main elevator back to the penthouse floor. I watched the footage 5 times. Sarah had been removed from the hotel in a trunk while her new husband supposedly slept, and his mother had orchestrated the entire thing. But where had they taken her? And why? I called my old partner from the AG's office, Detective Rebecca Walsh. She'd worked fraud cases with me for 15 years before transferring to major crimes. Beck, I need your help. Off the books. James, if this is about Sarah, you know I can't. I have security footage of Catherine Whitmore removing someone from the hotel in a trunk at 3 a.m. Sunday morning. Sarah disappeared from that hotel. Catherine claimed she didn't arrive until 1:30 p.m. She lied. Silence. Then, send me the footage. Encrypted. I forwarded everything Maria had given me, along with her statement about the cash payment and Catherine's behavior. Beck called back within an hour. This changes everything. But, James, we need to be smart about this. The Whitmores have serious political connections. We go after them wrong. They'll bury us in lawyers and make evidence disappear. What do you suggest? I run the van through traffic cams. See if I can track where they went. Meanwhile, you need to find out what the Whitmores want. Why would they do this? There's always a motive. Motive. In fraud investigation, you follow the money. Who benefits from Sarah's disappearance? I started digging into Whitmore family finances, using databases I technically shouldn't have access to anymore but still did. What I found made everything click into place. Marcus Whitmore was broke. Not just low on cash, completely insolvent. He'd made catastrophic investments, lost $15 million of family money in a crypto scheme that collapsed in August. Catherine had bailed him out once, but there was a condition. He had to marry someone with significant assets or earning potential to rebuild the family wealth. Enter Sarah, not rich herself, but with one very valuable asset. She was sole beneficiary of her grandmother's estate. My ex-wife Linda's mother had passed away 2 years ago, leaving Sarah everything. A brownstone in the Pearl District worth $2.3 million, plus a trust fund generating $400,000 annually. But here's the thing. Sarah couldn't access the full estate until she was married. Her grandmother, old-fashioned and traditional, had structured the will that way. Marriage unlocked the inheritance. I pulled Sarah's will, the one she'd written when she set up her legal aid clinic. Standard boilerplate. In case of death, everything goes to her spouse. My hands shook as I understood. Marcus marries Sarah. The marriage unlocks her $2.3 million inheritance plus the trust fund. If Sarah dies or is declared legally dead, everything transfers to Marcus as her husband. He pays off his debts, restores his place in the family, and the Whitmores get their money back. They weren't just making Sarah disappear. They were setting up conditions to declare her dead. But that required a body or significant time passage. 7 years to declare someone legally dead in Oregon without remains. Unless, I called Beck again. They're going to produce a body. What? Think about it. Sarah disappeared on her wedding night. They've already built the narrative. Unstable bride, psychological breakdown. Now they need closure. They're going to find a body, stage it as suicide or accident, and Marcus inherits everything within weeks instead of years. James, that's a serious accusation. Look at Marcus's finances. He's $15 million in debt. Sarah's inheritance is worth over $2.3 million. Follow the money. Beck, it always tells the truth. If you're right, Sarah's still alive somewhere. They need her alive until they can stage the death properly. How long do we have? Declaring someone missing is immediate. But to execute a will, they need a death certificate. If they are smart, they'll wait at least a week. Make it look like Sarah was out there, struggling, before the tragic ending. A week. We had maybe 4 days left to find Sarah before the Whitmores staged her death. Beck's voice turned hard. I'm going to rattle some cages. Bring Catherine in for questioning. Put pressure on Marcus. Meanwhile, you keep digging. Find the connection. Where would they keep her? The Whitmores own property all over the city. I'm already on it. I spent the next 6 hours combing through property records. The Whitmores owned the Sentinel Hotel, 3 office buildings downtown, a warehouse in southeast Portland, a family compound estate in the West Hills, and a rural property outside Estacada. 85 acres purchased through an LLC 6 months ago. Estacada. Rural. Isolated. Perfect for keeping someone hidden. I cross-referenced the LLC ownership. It led back to Victoria Whitmore Chase, Marcus's sister, the one who'd smirked about our runaway bride. Thursday, November 9th, 5:30 a.m. I was 3 cups of coffee deep and running on pure fury when Beck called. Catherine Whitmore's attorney just invoked privilege on every question we asked. She's not talking. But James, I tracked that Mercedes van. Where did it go? Warehouse district in Southeast. Specifically, a medical supply facility. Medical supply. Owned by a shell company. Took me 4 hours to trace it back. But guess who's on the board? Richard Whitmore. Medical supplies. Drugs to keep Sarah sedated. Equipment to stage a death scene. They had everything they needed. Beck, I'm going to Estacada. That rural property. James, no. Let me get a warrant. You said it yourself. They have political connections. By the time you get a warrant, Sarah could be dead. I'm just going to look around. Private citizen on a drive. If you find anything, you call me immediately. Don't be a hero. I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm trying to save my daughter. The drive to Estacada took 47 minutes. The Whitmore property was set back from the main road, hidden behind dense Douglas firs and a gate with a security keypad. I parked a quarter mile away and approached on foot through the woods. 30 years of investigation work had taught me patience and observation. The property was beautiful, rustic lodge-style main house, 2 smaller cabins, pristine grounds. I circled carefully, staying in the tree line. That's when I saw it. Through the window of the smaller cabin, movement. A figure in the window, there and gone in a second. But I'd spent 28 years recognizing people from fragments. The way they moved, the slope of their shoulders. That was Sarah. My daughter was alive. She was in that cabin. I pulled out my phone to call Beck and heard voices. 2 men emerged from the main house. I recognized one from the security footage. Thick build, tactical gear, professional security. The other was Richard Whitmore himself. Final timeline is Saturday morning, Richard was saying. We staged it at the gorge. Suicide jump, body recovered from the water. Tragic ending to a troubled young woman. And the evidence? The security man asked. Victoria's handling that. Sarah's journal with manufactured entries about depression and stress, her laptop with searches about suicide, prescriptions for anxiety medication. All dated before the wedding. They were building a complete false narrative. I recorded every word. What about the father? He's asking questions. Let him. By Saturday afternoon, he'll be identifying a body. Case closed. Marcus gets his inheritance, and we recover our losses. They walked toward the cabin. I had to move now or lose my chance. I called Beck. I'm at the Estacada property. Sarah's alive. They are planning to stage her suicide on Saturday at the gorge. I need backup now. James, you need to get out of there. Send units to 47,000 Southeast Wildcat Mountain Road. Suspected kidnapping. Armed security on site. I'm going in. James, wait for backup. But I'd already ended the call. My daughter was 50 yards away, and I wasn't leaving without her. I waited until Richard and the security guard went back inside the main house. Then I moved quickly to the cabin, staying low. The door was locked. I looked for another way. Ground floor window, slightly open for ventilation. I pushed it wider and climbed through. The cabin interior was sparse. Living room, kitchenette, closed bedroom door. I approached the bedroom carefully. It was locked from the outside, padlock on the door. I grabbed a fire poker from the fireplace and pried the lock. It broke with a crack that sounded like a gunshot in the quiet. The door swung open. Sarah lay on the bed, eyes closed, breathing shallow. And foreline ran from her arm to a drip bag, keeping her sedated. Sarah. I rushed to her side, checking her pulse. Strong, steady. They were keeping her alive but unconscious. I gently removed the four, then cradled her face. Baby girl, it's Dad. Wake up. I need you to wake up. Her eyelids fluttered, confused, unfocused. Dad. I'm here. I've got you. We need to move. Can you stand? She tried, but her legs buckled. Whatever they'd been giving her had left her weak. That's when I heard the cabin door burst open. Step away from her, Mr. Patterson. Richard Whitmore stood in the bedroom doorway, and he was holding a gun. I placed myself between Richard and Sarah, hands raised. This is over. Police are on their way. Richard laughed. You think you're the first concerned father who's tried to play hero? We've handled this situation before. Before? How many times have you done this? Marcus has been married 3 times. The first wife, Elaine, disappeared hiking in the Cascades. Body never recovered. Insurance paid out $1.8 million. The second, Monica, died in a tragic car accident. Another $1.2 million. Sarah was supposed to be the third and final. Until she became another payday. Sarah's worth more dead than alive. Yes. And you've helpfully provided the grieving father angle. Makes the suicide narrative even more believable. Sarah stirred behind me. Dad. It's okay, baby. Everything's going to be okay. Touching, Richard said. But you've complicated things. Now we have to stage a murder-suicide. Distraught father, can't handle daughter's death, breaks into property, confrontation, tragic shooting. You'll both be found together. Still a payout, still solves our problem. The police have everything. Security footage of Catherine removing Sarah from the hotel. Financial records showing Marcus's debts. The property records connecting you to this compound. You're done. My family has been in Portland for 5 generations. We own half the city, including 3 judges and the district attorney. Whatever evidence you think you have will disappear long before trial. He raised the gun. That's when 3 things happened simultaneously. Sarah lunged from the bed, grabbing Richard's arm. The cabin door exploded inward, Detective Walsh and 4 tactical officers. And I drove my fist into Richard Whitmore's jaw with 28 years of contained rage behind it. Richard went down hard, guns skittering across the floor. Officers swarmed, cuffing him while he screamed about lawyers and lawsuits. Beck grabbed my shoulder. You okay? Better than him. Sarah collapsed against me, crying. I held her like I had when she was little and the world felt too big. I've got you, baby girl. You're safe now. The next 6 hours were a blur of police stations and statements and medical exams. Sarah was treated for dehydration and the effects of prolonged sedation. She'd been drugged continuously since Sunday morning. 5 days unconscious while her new family planned her murder. Beck worked with the FBI to build the case. What was uncovered was bigger than one kidnapping. Marcus Whitmore's first wife, Elaine Patterson, hadn't disappeared hiking in 2019. They found her remains on the Estacada property, buried under the cabin foundation. DNA confirmed identity. The second wife, Monica Chen, hadn't died in a car accident in 2021. Forensic analysis showed her vehicle had been tampered with, brake lines cut. The mechanic who'd performed the work was found and flipped for immunity. He identified Richard Whitmore as the man who'd paid him $50,000 cash. This wasn't murder. It was serial killing dressed up as inheritance planning. Friday, November 10th. Dawn broke over Portland with news trucks parked outside police headquarters. The arrests came in waves. Richard Whitmore, 2 counts first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping. Catherine Whitmore, conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping, fraud. Marcus Whitmore, 2 counts conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, accessory after the fact. Victoria Whitmore Chase, conspiracy to commit murder, evidence tampering. 2 security contractors, kidnapping, assault. The bail hearing was standing room only. The judge denied bail for all defendants, flight risk, danger to witnesses. Sarah sat beside me in the gallery, still weak but determined to watch. When Marcus was let in, he looked at her with something that might have been remorse. She looked back with nothing but contempt. Your Honor, the prosecutor began. The state has evidence of a multi-year conspiracy to murder 3 women for financial gain. The defendants operated what can only be described as a murder-for-profit scheme. The bail hearing lasted 4 hours. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage of Sarah being removed from the hotel in a trunk. Financial records showing Marcus's gambling debts and the inheritance scheme. Testimony from Maria Santos about the cash payment and suspicious behavior. The discovery of Elaine's remains on the Estacada property. Forensic evidence of tampering with Monica's vehicle. Recorded conversation between Richard and his security contractor discussing Sarah's staged suicide. Text messages between Catherine and Victoria coordinating the kidnapping. Medical evidence that Sarah had been kept sedated with propofol and benzodiazepines. Your Honor, Richard's attorney argued weakly. My client maintains his innocence. Your client was recorded discussing the timeline for murdering Ms. Sarah Patterson Whitmore. The judge interrupted coldly. Bail is denied. Trial date is set for March 12th. The trial lasted 7 weeks. Portland had never seen anything like it. Prominent family, multiple murders, inheritance fraud spanning years. Sarah testified on day 4. She was strong, clear, devastating. Marcus told me on our wedding night that he loved me, she said, voice steady. I believed him. I fell asleep happy. When I woke up, I was in a cabin, drugged, with an 4 in my arm. I heard them talking about when to kill me, how to stage it. I heard my husband. Her voice finally broke. I heard Marcus discuss what he'd buy with my inheritance after I was dead. The defense tried to argue coercion, diminished capacity, family pressure. But the evidence was too complete, too damning. The security footage played in court. Catherine calmly orchestrating Sarah's removal. Richard's recorded conversation about staging the suicide played for the jury. Forensic experts testified about Elaine's remains and Monica's tampered vehicle. Financial analysts detailed the scheme. Marry women with assets. Murder them after the inheritance unlocked. Collect the payout. On March 31st, the jury returned. Richard Whitmore, guilty on all counts. Life without parole. Catherine Whitmore, guilty on all counts. Life without parole. Marcus Whitmore, guilty on all counts. Life without parole. Victoria Whitmore Chase, guilty on all counts. 35 years. The courtroom erupted. Sarah gripped my hand, tears streaming. It's over, she whispered. It's really over. 6 months after the trial, Sarah and I sat on the back porch of her grandmother's brownstone, the house that had almost gotten her killed. She'd rebuilt her life with remarkable resilience. The legal aid clinic was expanding. She'd published an op-ed about inheritance-based domestic violence that went viral. And she'd started dating again, carefully, slowly, with someone who treated her like the brilliant, strong woman she was. Detective Walsh called, Sarah said. They found 2 more potential victims. Women Marcus dated before Elaine. They are reopening the investigations. The Whitmore case had opened a door into inheritance-motivated domestic violence. The FBI had created a task force. Sarah served as a consultant. How are you doing? I asked. Really? She considered the question. Some days are hard. I have nightmares about waking up in that cabin. But mostly, I'm angry. Angry at how close they came. Angry that Elaine and Monica didn't get justice until I almost died. Angry at a system that let wealthy people murder for decades without consequences. You're channeling that anger into something good. I learned that from you. She squeezed my hand. You never gave up. When everyone said I'd run away, when the police dismissed it, when the Whitmores had all the power, you kept digging. You saved my life, Dad. Maria Santos saved your life. Beck saved your life. You saved your life by being strong enough to survive. Team effort. Then, we sat in comfortable silence, watching the Portland skyline light up as evening fell. My phone buzzed. Text from Beck. Another case. Family in Beaverton. Daughter disappeared after engagement party. Wealthy fiancé. Suspicious circumstances. Need your eyes on this. I showed Sarah the message. Are you going to help? She asked. What do you think? She smiled. The first real, full smile I'd seen from her in months. I think you're a fraud investigator who spent 30 years learning to spot lies. And I think there are a lot of people out there who need someone who won't give up on them. Want to come with me? You know this territory better than anyone. Sarah stood, energized. Let's go save someone else's daughter. So that's my story. That's how a hotel clerk's whisper led to exposing a serial-killing family and saving my daughter's life. Looking back now, I see God's hand in every moment. When I chose to investigate despite the Whitmore's power, that was divine courage. When Maria Santos risked her job to give me the security footage, that was an angel in hotel uniform. When Sarah survived 5 days of sedation and woke up just in time to fight back, that was a miracle. These aren't just revenge stories. They are survival stories. Stories about refusing to accept the narrative that powerful people want you to believe.